tranquil forest in the Eifel region of Western Germany. A forest that harbors a dark past, with a legacy still visible in isolated places. From a time when it was dubbed a green hell. In the closing stages of the Second World War, it was the scene of bloody fighting between US and German forces. The path to the Western Allies' advance from Belgium into Germany led straight through the forest around the village of Hürtgen. For locals, the battle is still a key part of their history.
It was while riding around here on my bike as a teenager that I really came into contact with the history of the Hürtgen Forest. I would suddenly come across ruins among the trees, massive concrete walls. When I asked my parents, they told me they were the remains of bunkers from the Second World War. And once you know what to look for in this wartime landscape, you can also see bomb craters, trenches, and foxholes. If you really take the time, you can find a lot of these World War II relics in the Hürtgen Forest.
For around 5 months, the forest was the scene of successive, bitterly fought battles between the American and German armies. Although the Americans had more troops and were better equipped, their attempt to drive the Germans out of the forest was a military disaster. Progress was slow and costly as they became bogged down in the treacherous terrain.
It was a nightmare. I don't think there can be a worse hell. It was awful. It was freezing, and these damn shells, they hit the top of the tree and came down in thousands of fragments that could kill anybody.
I was in combat there for 10 days. At the height of the battle, I was trembling for practically the entire 10 days. I knew I could die, of course, and I was terrified.
An estimated 25,000 American and German soldiers died in the forest.
To survive the Hürtgen Forest was a miracle. But here I am. I don't know how I survived.
The forest was a death trap for the US troops. They called it Hürtgen Forest after the small village that was at the heart of the fighting.
The battle in the Hürtgenwald was one of the longest and deadliest battles on German soil in the West. It left a lot of scars, not only on the inhabitants and their descendants, but also on the landscape itself, in the forest, and on local buildings.
For the German troops, the war was, in effect, already long lost.
Even the young soldiers, those who could reflect, didn't believe in victory. You just wanted to survive, to come home safe and sound.
Nach Hause kommen wieder.
But Nazi war propaganda portrayed a completely different picture.
An der Westgrenze haben unsere Truppen trotz schwerster Angriffe unter erheblichen Verlusten für den Feind ihre Stellungen behauptet.
Dass die Alliierten den Krieg gewinnen würden, konnte zu
By
dem
then,
Zeitpunkt
everyone knew the Allies would win the war.
alles, was also hier im Hürtgen
Everything that
passiert
happened in the
ist, hat
Hürtgenwald meant just a minimal delay of the inevitable,
geringfügig verzögert und es hat eben dazu beigetragen,
and it indirectly contributed to the continuation of the murders in the concentration and extermination camps, and in the prisons and other places,
Lagern und in den Gefängnissen
until the very last second of the Third Reich.
dieses Regimes weitergehen konnte.
Since D-Day in June 1944, the Western Allied troops had been advancing from Normandy through France and Belgium towards Germany. In the process, liberating Paris, Brussels, and Antwerp from Nazi occupation.
We were told to, or ordered to, take the ground that they were on and take it away from them, and that's how we advanced to win the war. We were the ones that were going to win, not them.
On September 11, 1944, the 1st U.S. divisions reached the Belgian-German border near Aachen, more than 3 months earlier than expected. One day later, the 3rd U.S. Armored Division crossed into Germany near the town of Rhürtgen.
We just went through the town and went on the other side. Then we got into the real trouble with the first site of the Siegfried Line.
The Siegfried Line was the defensive wall built to secure Germany's western border.
We saw steel gates on the road and dragon's teeth, and it was the first dragon's teeth that we had seen.
Anti-tank obstacles were known as dragon's teeth. They accompanied a line of bunkers stretching over 600 kilometers from the Dutch border down to Switzerland. For Western Allied troops, a formidable obstacle.
Sie haben keine genaue Vorstellung, was sie am sogenannten
They had no precise idea what to expect at the Siegfried Line. So the closer they got to the actual territory of the Third Reich, the more insecure they became, because they thought they would still face strongly fortified and heavily manned defensive positions.
Damit sitzen die Alliierten im Grunde genommen der Nazi.
The Allies had been taken in by the Nazi propaganda of the pre-war years. This went so far that the American military's films use excerpts from German propaganda films showing the Siegfried Line as an insurmountable object to explain to its troops what they were up against.
Als unüberwindliches Hindernis zeigen.
As many as 500,000 men worked as much as 20 hours a day to build 22,000 fortified positions on land.
We knew that the Germans had built the Siegfried Line and that they were hoping that that would stop us. That didn't happen because we broke through the Siegfried Line. We took a hell of a lot of casualties, but we did it. But we knew that the Siegfried Line was a bad place to go to.
Psychologically, the Siegfried Line was effective on both sides, but its military value in the actual fighting was very limited.
U.S. troops succeeded in breaking through the anti-tank barriers near Rhürtgen. But on the other side, they met with stubborn resistance from German troops who were firmly dug in the bunkers and in the woods. James Cullen was wounded in the fighting near the village of Roth.
Oh, I got hit. I got hit, and it was a tremendous blow. And I looked down and I saw the blood pouring out right